Well, it's really good news, of course, for first home buyers. You are not having to compete with a new wave of investors, and you're not having to compete with the existing owner-occupiers, usually with some fairly good equity situations, competing against you at the auctions, the tenders, etc. Hello again, everybody. The question I'm asking myself at the moment when I look at the data, including the numbers coming out of my various surveys, is whether the movement of first home buyers back into the market, which started about 4 months ago, is yet being followed by either the investors or the owner-occupiers basically just selling and buying in the same market. Now, I already know from looking at my surveys of mortgage advisors and real estate agents, the investors most definitely are not following the young buyers. The recent round of increases in fixed mortgage rates has sent the investors running back to the hills. That's what I mentioned in last week's video. And I can see that again in my monthly spending plans survey, where I ask the 29,000 people receiving my weekly Tony's View publication whether they're going to spend more or less over the next 3 to 6 months. I think I got about 1,100 replies or so. And the headline result is a net 28% of people planning to cut back on their spending compared with a net 15% a month ago. That's actually important because it tells us monetary policy tightening is definitely gaining traction on the economy. It is crunching consumer spending, and that just makes me relatively confident that the Reserve Bank isn't going to have to make a whole lot of scary statements in the near future, or specifically November 23, the next review, with regard to interest rates have to go through the roof in order to get consumer spending restrained. I think the restraint is most definitely underway. But in that survey, I also ask people, are you going to buy more or less investment property in the near future? Well, the reading there has naturally falling, but we already knew that from the other surveys. But I also ask people, are you looking at buying a house in order to occupy yourself? And that measure has fallen away to a new low level. So it's pretty much the only reading out there beyond the anecdotes one gets from the real estate agents and the mortgage brokers. But it says to me that no, the owner-occupiers are not yet following the first home buyers. What does that mean? Well, it's really good news, of course, for first home buyers. You are not having to compete with a new wave of investors, and you're not having to compete with the existing owner-occupiers, usually with some fairly good equity situations, competing against you at the auctions, the tenders, etc. So I think we're still solidly in a period of time when the market, it's a buyer's market everywhere, so definitely favours the buyers. The market is very favourable for first home buyers. The number of properties listed for sale is up about 72% from a year earlier. We've got some good growth in new housing supply, especially townhouses. The consents being issued for new houses to be built, well, they're already trending down. But for townhouses, well, that's still going up. I certainly think a lot of them will not actually be built. And speaking with a lot of people in the sector recently, the big price adjustments, while you've seen house prices generally fall away, or dwelling prices generally, it's the section prices which are doing quite a correction at the moment. But yeah, the market I think is still well in favour of first home buyers. So if that was my situation and one of my children is in that situation, I have no hesitancy in saying, well, have a decent look around. There's a lot on the market at the moment. Maybe put in a low offer or two. As each month goes by, the vendors will still get more and more willing to negotiate. And of course, realise they're not going to get the price they could have got a year ago for maybe another 2 to 3 years or something like that, whenever eventually the upturn comes along. So on that note, all the best out there.